let this thing load first. So yeah, the way we're gonna approach it is pretty much the same way I would approach like, the 1 minute if we were in a 15-minute POI or like taking continuations, right? So we don't necessarily need to wait for, like a 4-hour POI to play it. Let me just shut this off too, 1 sec. But I mean, we can play continuations on the 15-minute. We're gonna try just setting limit orders, not necessarily market. And yeah, if you're working full time, like I did this the other day. I set a limit order on EU for a short on a POI. It didn't tap it. It tapped the one below it, but like, it's okay. Ended up running probably, it would have ran maybe like 5-6 hour based on the big stop loss that I had, because I was doing the EQ of the 15-minute POI. But I just set it before London because right now, like for October, I've decided I don't feel like trading London. I'm just going to do New York because there's honestly plenty of opportunity. Yeah, so I mean, you can set stuff like that. If you're like me, if you live in, North America, you don't want to trade London because of the crazy hours, or you're working a full-time job, you set your limit. I'm sure you can take some time to like check if you got tapped in or not, or set alerts, right? And then just sort of swing trade. Not even swing trade, you can hold them like as intraday positions too. We'll do that, right? And we'll be mindful of like spread hours in this session too, so that we're not holding through spread hours, which would otherwise take you out, right? So let me just make sure we're ready to go. Pull this up really quick. All right, so OBS is running, we're good. Before we start, does anybody have any questions about what we're gonna do here or how we're gonna approach it? We're good, right? Okay, cool.
Good, all good.
All good, cool. So the way we're gonna do this too, so I'm gonna put news on here so that we're aware of it. I want to try and avoid like these high impact news events because we're not like gonna go onto the 5-second and try to like trade it, right, or call what's happening. I don't trade news anyways, so I don't really have a lot of experience doing it. Some of the other coaches do, but for me, and especially because we're doing the 15-minute, like we don't want to get slipped out of a position just because we're like being greedy about it and we want to catch every move, right? The other thing I'm gonna do for this session is I want you guys to mark out the zones you want me to put on, right? And then what we can do is we can kind of like, I'm gonna try not to rewind on these, so we'll take our losses and try to, as a group, pull like a positive expectancy out of this session, right? Like maybe we'll be able to go through like 2-3 months because we're on the 15-minute, right? It'll go pretty rapid, right? But yeah, I want you, if you're gonna put on something either in chat or you can go on the mic, tell me why you want to like set a limit, at this 15-minute zone, for example, if you were gonna do that, and we'll see how it plays out. And if we take an L, we take an L. We can break even on it, whatever, manage it, right? And then I'll also put on some trades too, so we'll kind of do a mix of interactive backtesting here. Sound good? So that being said, I think we can get started here. So we'll start with London session. I'll just hit play on this. Actually, let's maybe mark out structure first. Let me make sure I have my script on and everything. Okay, good. So obviously super bullish, right? Popping up here on the daily, right? For this, obviously, I'm gonna pay attention to the daily as well because it's our like overall higher time frame. It's almost like, if you were to approach this from the way I was talking about before, this would be your 4-hour, your 15-minute, your 1 minute, right? But instead, it's daily, 4-hour, and 15-minute, right? So it's the same thing. I'm using the exact same skills. I'm really just treating this as the 1 minute, right? So where would I enter on the 1 minute? That's like high probability, right? So we'll cover like kind of everything in that regard. Let me delete all of the objects here. So it's from like another session. So hit play, mark this out too. So would you guys agree daily and 4-hour are pretty bullish? I think we can all agree that it is, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll mark out, I'm not gonna mark out like the swing structure or anything because I can't really, I don't have a tool to do it, but we'll just mark the breaks, right? Just basic breaks of structure. So we have this break, right? I would say this is my low here, right? On the 4-hour. So this is a pretty like okay low. Kind of left some equals here, so be careful of that. And then looks like we tapped into a 4-hour zone, right? swept some sort of internal range liquidity, and now we're pushing up, right? So far, we're failing to break this high, but we're pretty rangy, so like we'll see what happens. I'm overall bullish on this right now, though. And our next news event is an FOMC meeting, so we'll be careful of that too. Okay, so, and then in terms of 15-minute, we can quickly look at it here too, right? I'd say it's like, honestly, swing structure is obviously bullish, but like it's starting to range quite a bit too, right? So I'll just mark out some of this stuff really quick. Like, what did we react to? What's being respected, right? Where do we have liquidity? Definitely have liquidity sitting here. And we have this here. This is like an okay zone. It sweeps some sort of liquidity, right? But again, I'm gonna wait a little bit. Let's play price forward and see if we can find like our first entry. Yeah. And again, you guys can annotate too, right? If there's a certain zone you want me to throw a limit on, I'll put it on. Just let me know. Right now, I actually kind of like this low here. Even though it's been mitigated, maybe we can, optimize it to this, right? Because we're starting to chain a little bit. We're breaking substructure minor highs, right? Price is pushing up. We have this potential high to target. Kind of have some equals sitting above here too, right? So, yeah, and you have this zone as well that's been unmitigated, obviously, right? So, I can throw on a limit there, Christian. Why do you want to put an order there, though? Let me hear your like thought process behind it. We'll play price forward a little bit. I'm gonna set a limit on mine here, though. Hopefully it tags me. It looks like it just tapped in, but so the other thing that we can do, guys, it's really up to you guys, but we can either do the full POI or EQ of it as well, right? Because I think this order that I just put on here, this is about 6 pips. I mean, it's not that bad. I think anything over like 5, 6, 7 pips, then maybe we'll do EQ of it. But otherwise, no point. No point to try and take it. Okay, so this one's not bad. It's kind of playing around though. It looks like it's sweeping some sort of liquidity here, internal range liquidity. Christian, I mean, what do you think? Why do you want to enter this trade here? I can throw a limit on it. I just want to know your logic behind it, so we can kind of like learn something from it too, right? I don't think he's responding. Okay, so we got swept out of that one. That's cool. It's very possible we tapped into, yeah, something here. May not have given it enough buffer, right? Oh, almost tapping into that one. Not quite though. Okay, that's too bad. Didn't tap in. So Christian, you were right about that, right? This all got used as liquidity here, right? But it didn't tap us in. So I don't want to rewind. I mean, you were right about it. Just it didn't quite tap into even the top of it. So we'll miss that one. Not a big deal, right? Keep pushing on. The next zone I'd probably be most interested in would be, yeah, exactly. Oh, it's Sharaf. Sorry, I didn't read your name properly. I thought it was Christian. Kind of glanced at it.
No, that's not me. Like the other guy. That's another one.
Was there another guy?
Yeah, it's probably like his name is Christian. Yeah, my name is.
Okay.
Like kind of. Okay.
All good. So Sharaf, why do you want to enter here? It makes sense to me, but I want to hear your logic behind it.
Just basically like following demand chain. Just from demand to demand, sweep, negation, break.
Yep. Break, exactly. Okay, good. I agree. So that's a good high probability zone that we can play off of. I totally agree. And then you have inducement here too, right? Yeah. So that's pretty good. So we'll set a limit on that one. For this one, I'll do EQ because it's pretty big. Unless you want me to take the whole bar. What do you prefer?
I would probably go with the EQ. Yeah, just like that.
Let's do the EQ. It's roughly above the EQ of the wick too, so let's see if that works. What could happen is obviously price can tap into like something here that might be the 5-minute and just go, right?
Yeah, also like we have this inside bar, this might be like the reaction point.
Yeah, could be, for sure. So let's see. If it creates new like 15-minute sort of structure like that, then we can look potentially at following the chain, but as someone marked out here, right? We're starting to sweep liquidity up here.
Yeah.
We are tapping into potentially like a swing point at this level too, right? So
yeah.
Let's see if we break this high though. Might have something to play here, but yeah, there's definitely like something on the daily here we got to be kind of aware of, right? Play it forward a little bit. I'm gonna speed it up a bit so we can actually cover more ground here. So we're back in London session. Yeah, you could definitely follow order flow like this, right? But here's the thing. So I'm gonna kind of like start to mark out my failed supply zones here. So we have this one. It looks like we did get like some sort of initial reaction. It's very likely it swept something in here. So that would make this valid, right? But by the same accord, this could get used as liquidity potentially for, you know, even this, right? So two potential zones we could enter off of or like leave limits on. But let's see.
And this one got mitigated to the open? This one, did this one like got mitigated to the open?
Yeah, but I would have preferred if it came a little bit deeper. Like it didn't tap the EQ of it, right? Not that it needs to either, but yeah. Okay, so let's
guess like in my opinion it would go for this one. I don't know why. Because like if you see like also like the same model like that Alex followed, like
yeah,
this is the initial reaction speed. This might be dangerous. Well, this sounds close.
Yeah, for me, so the way that I'm always looking at it too is like I always want to see some sort of sweep from the reaction, right? It's hard to see here unless I pull the 5-minute up, which I don't have up. That's fine. Let's just focus on the 15-minute only.
Yeah.
But if we were to investigate on the lower time frame, we see okay, this sweeps some sort of initial reaction here, and then this supply obviously fails, then that would make this, you know, valid for me. But I'm assuming that's what happens here, so we can throw a limit on it. Okay, we got taken out by a little bit there. It's alright. We could always re-enter this. But we also have this FOMC coming here. Okay, looks like it completely blew through it. I still think this is valid too. So we'll see if it plays with that.
So would you like keep an order in this on this one, even though like we're coming bearish?
Not with FOMC right here. That's why I have like news, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. It's hard to see if we actually like tapped into this. I'm gonna try to quickly investigate to the left. Hold on. Do this. So we have this zone. I'll just mark it as this. This is like a pretty interesting zone on the daily, right? So if this goes, then I'll expect that we're going to continue bullish, especially if we take out all of this liquidity here. But if one of these holds, right, because we kind of have a chain that's formed here, then I'm going to be, you know, really careful about trying to continue to long this, right? Because we're obviously just kind of chasing it at this point.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't want to look for shorts yet until we get like a 15-minute change of character either, right? So we'll keep playing it forward. Let's see. Gone through about a week of price action now, so I have a feeling this is going to hold, but this is not like a high probability zone for me, right? So yeah, I agree. We can keep chasing this, but again, let's break down the logic of it, right? So these obviously like got swept out as liquidity. I'll just get rid of these to clean up the chart. But same thing, right? Let's mark out our supply, right? Did we tap into the supply and then sweep some sort of liquidity? Potentially we did on the lower time frame, but here it looks like it kind of left like equal.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it also chained off of this, which is somewhat significant, right? So it's not bad. It's not like the worst zone, right? I'd say this is like a mid probability zone. It's also kind of in the middle of the range too, so gotta be careful of that. And then obviously you have the extreme, right, which is now chaining off of this zone here. So I'm gonna remove this limit here, and let's just observe again what happens here. It does look like it's gonna probably respect this. The second wick looks lower than the first. Yeah, it might be. Let's see. Let me zoom into it. Yeah, actually it did technically sweep it, so it's pretty good. Yeah, and you have liquidity there. That's good. So same thing. Let's go like this. This time I'll cover the low a little bit more. Again, we're gonna use big stop losses. I want to show you guys that like you don't need to have like a super tight 5 pip stop loss or whatever, or lower. Also, this is obviously pretty volatile price action, so like, you know, it's gonna do its thing. Okay, we got swept out again. That's fine. That can happen sometimes, right? So what do you guys think? Do you want to enter this one too? Yeah, of course you,
like supply chain.
Yeah, now we're starting to chain on supply. We haven't quite tapped this daily, but it is possible that we're kind of reacting to the range instead, which is like this, right? So I'll remove that because it's obviously really hard to see, but go like this.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about entering this one though? So we failed to break the high. That's the only thing, and then we're obviously again we're kind of chasing it, right? So I don't think this is a good zone. We didn't really like break any major thing. We broke minor structure, and obviously it swept liquidity, but yeah, I wouldn't enter this.
Yeah, I kind of would go. I would probably like go with this one. This one took out this high.
Yeah.
Then.
And now we've obviously chalked like bearish too, right? I mean, a while ago that happened, but I would say, yeah, we can look at now within this leg, right? Looks pretty good. I'm gonna delete everything in here so it gets cleaned up a bit. So we have a flip zone here. This one's decent, right? Clone it. And then let's see, we also have this one, which isn't bad either. I'm gonna do the whole last, buy before sell leg. And of course there's a chance that we can come tap into these, but looks like we're kind of chaining off of it too, right? Yeah, there's your chalk and boss. Good stuff. Yeah, you guys are getting it. So let's see if we even retrace back up to that stuff though. Let's zoom around the 4-hour bit and just see. I think these are pretty high probability. If price starts making new structure lows, like even just substructure lows, right? Because obviously this would be our swing on the 15-minute overall, right? Our swing high would be somewhere up here. And our swing low would have been either here or here, right? And we can start looking at maybe shorting like even something internally here, right? Just something to note. This is obviously another flip zone. Again, not the highest probability because this doesn't necessarily sweep anything. Maybe it does on the lower time frame, but it's not super clear, right? And again, I don't feel like pulling up the 1 or 5 minute. I just want to like strictly focus on the 15 minute. Though you would do that, obviously, if you're gonna try and pick a 15-minute zone to play off of, like, of course, refine it, right? Not necessarily refine it. I mean, you would want to go on the 5-minute and see if there's anything nested inside of it as like a refined POI. But you also want to see if it sweeps liquidity, right? Especially if it's like causing, you know, demand failures, like in this case, right? So we'll set a sell limit on this one because I think we all agree this one looks pretty good, right? It's sitting above this, which might be liquidity. And then you also have this one here. I can set one up here too if you guys want. I mean, we can take a bunch of L's. You'll see, like, as long as we hit a couple, like, it's not going to matter. We don't need a high strike rate for this, right? I'll just do the whole zone for these. Can I zoom in on the 4-hour? Sure. Yeah, so there you go. Price just fell off. So let's just pay attention here. We do have this zone to maybe be aware of, right? But it looks like potentially these are pretty weak lows now, right? Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's off the table that these will work, right? And that this could get used as liquidity, but the way I'm seeing it is it looks like we're now chaining off of this, right? So you kind of have a supply chain like this, right? And then you have this zone, right? And obviously what demand got violated and blown through this, right? Now the thing is, yeah, again, this could get used as liquidity, but it's nice. You have certain like reactions that got swept here, right? You have this one that got swept here as a result of this, right? I won't draw this on because it'll get messy, but you guys get the idea, right? And then obviously this internal demand got swept as well, or got it failed, but it didn't really sweep anything like this, right? I would have preferred something like that if our wick was kind of sitting above like that, but that's fine. So we can try and chase it a little bit because this is a pretty nice supply zone or supply chain. But yeah, this is still kind of like, to me, like the better zone to play off of, right? What do you guys think? What do you prefer to do? Yeah, these ones, right? So I'm gonna do this anyways, just to show you. I kind of want to rack up some losses here and just recover it to show you guys that we're just gonna play the probabilities out, right? And there's a chance this might not even get tapped into, so there's that too, right? Okay, we're in. It's kind of hovering. Okay, there we go. So the minute we break this low, right, which is the catalyst for this pullback, right, I'm gonna go break even on it, right? So we'll go break even, and we're up only 3.4 hours, so I'm gonna wait a little bit. But then we also have this this news that's coming up, NFP, right? Because it's Friday, so I'm gonna be pretty quick to potentially just close out on this because I don't know what's gonna happen with like the volatility here, but you know, maybe we'll just take profit here. What do you guys think? Should we wait for a little bit of a pullback maybe and try to like pull as much profit as we can, take partials? What? Well, either way, I'm gonna exit out of this because I don't want to get slipped, right? That's how I would manage it in a real like, situation too, right? So let's see if we can squeeze a little bit more out of it. I think we're probably gonna push a little bit further down. Let's see, right? Because we're just reacting now off the 4 hour a little bit, right? Yeah, you know what? I think.
I guess like closing like could be like kind of a better idea because we might pull back and just start break even then.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna close here. We closed out for what, like 5.5 hour or something, right? So let's see. Play price.
I may ask something.
Sure.
So we are backtesting based on daily 4 hour and 15 minutes. Means like 15 minutes is our entry point.
Yep.
Isn't it better to just define the POIs on 4 hour and then just narrow down the trade into 15 minutes? I mean, the POIs in 4 hour can be more valid when we are just, when our lowest time frame is 15 minutes.
Yeah, so of course you could do that. You're just going to take a lot less trades, right? Because the way that I'm approaching the 50 minutes is the same way I'm approaching the 1 minute, right? I'm looking for continuations. So obviously I'm paying attention to these like POIs, right, that we're tapping into. In this case, like this one was pretty counter trend, right? Now that we've taken these lows out, we can kind of follow this 4 hour supply chain too and kind of anticipate that, you know, one of these potentially will hold, right? But you know, I want to follow order flow here and continue to like enter on any continuation that I get because, you know, there's just more opportunities for it, right? I kind of want to show like both sides of it. If I were just to take 4 hour refined zones, we're going to be sitting here for a while and not necessarily entering much, right? So you will miss a lot of trades. But there's nothing wrong with trading that way either. Like I want to, you know, make it clear you could trade that way, and you're right. Like a lot of the time, 4 hour zones obviously are better. If you just trade that, you could probably be like just as profitable, if not more profitable, right? You're taking less trades, you have less exposure, and they're higher probability. And because they're with like, you know, if you're following 4 hour structure and order flow, if you catch the right one, it's like you could swing it, right? So yeah, we kind of chalked up here. I'm not too keen. Like I don't think these are gonna hold, to be honest with you, because
What you'd like to see.
yeah, like we're pretty bearish now, especially in the 50 minute. I think this is just a liquidity sweep, so that's fine. I've marked it out for whoever marked it out there, but remember, we want to try and follow structure. Our swing structure is now bearish. This is obviously very rangy, right? But if anything, you know, okay, we're failing to like break this low too, right? But if anything, I'd be looking for like shorts off of this, right? Because look, we swept liquidity, we've mitigated something to the left here, right? We almost hit the 50%, right? So we swept this even. We didn't leave equal highs, I don't think. It's a very subtle sweep, right? But we have this zone, right? So I'm expecting that, yeah, this is gonna get used. Let's see actually if we kind of push down.
Both cause.
What's that?
Like you're seeing this as just a cause for lower prices? Just
yeah, potentially.
Reaction
yeah.
of
like I'd prefer to see this fail. Like again, if I were approaching it as the 1 minute, I'd wait for this to fail and then maybe try to take a re-entry. But here's the thing, right? You also had this internal demand here, right? Which also swept liquidity, right? It failed.
Yeah.
Before it failed, look, it created some sort of liquidity here. See how?
Yeah.
See like where I drew this?
Buy to sell.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
This buy to sell wick, right? So there's a good chance. I'm gonna set a limit here. I don't know who put that there, but like that looks pretty good to me. I agree with that. 17 pips though. It's pretty big stick.
Yeah.
So I'll close out these other ones. So there's still a chance that, like, again, prices can come up to these, but I would say if we come any higher than this zone here, then I'm gonna potentially be bullish again, right? Because now we're kind of shifting order flow and like violating all of these areas of supply, right? I could do limit at the wicks instead. What do you guys think? Should we modify it maybe? You just might not get tapped in, that's the only thing. Maybe I'll do EQ of it. Go like this. And I want to cover the high, right? Do 13 pips. Here's the thing, right? Like volatility is always like kind of relative too. So it's just because it's 17 pips doesn't mean like price can't move with a lot of like momentum too, right? And then give us like a nice like 5-10 hour trade, right? It's kind of slow here. Let's see. There's a chance it might not come into it. This might be used as liquidity too, right? So I'm going to leave that limit on.
It's late on Friday though.
Yeah, and it's Friday. That's the other thing, right? So if you were trading a prop firm account, it's like you wouldn't necessarily even put these on because you can't really hold through the weekend anyways, right? No, I'll take... So Eldrick is asking if I take trades when the POI has inducement every time. No, like it doesn't have to have inducement. As long as it sweeps liquidity and I see some sort of like demand failure, right? But ideally, yeah, like inducement like this, right? Like post POI liquidity is a nice confluence, right? But again, look, if we were to, like in this case, right? Look, we swept liquidity, this failed, right? Technically this could be used as liquidity, but even if we don't pay attention to that, if price were just to like sort of V-shape into it, like I would take that too, right? In certain circumstances, it has to align with structure too and everything. But so price is starting to go like pretty high momentum. I think had we taken that whole 15-minute zone, that would have worked pretty well. But now I'm gonna pay attention to this again. I'm just gonna like sort of follow it, right? I'd be comfortable setting a limit on this, right? Because of the same reasons I outlined here, right? We'll do the whole zone on this one again because I honestly think like price is kind of acting weird here. It's not necessarily tapping into the 50% of these zones, right? So you kind of have to play it as you see it, right? Let's see, this didn't really do anything, but obviously we had another demand failure here, so I'll mark it out, right? There's liquidity that was built here, these buy to sell wicks for this zone, right? So let's just keep following it, Could even look potentially at this zone here, but because there's a lot of momentum in the market now, right? We'll skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, so when I see price doing this, right, I'm going to continue to follow and kind of see if we can catch some continuations here, right? But I am expecting some sort of a pullback at some point. I think what's happening here is you have all of this like internal range liquidity, right? That's getting swept out. So you have these lows, right? That are they all have like structural liquidity sitting below them. It's getting taken out and fueling the push down, right? We also have this one, right? We've obviously like changed character on the 4-hour, bearish as well, right? So yeah, it's all Dorito liquidity, exactly. Internal range liquidity. So let's see, this one, I'm gonna try to justify it, right? You could say that this pushed up, right? Kind of swept some sort of liquidity here. This is not the cleanest thing, honestly, but we did sweep something, right? Yeah, we also swept this liquidity here, right? I'm just looking for sweeps, right? Anytime I see a sweep and some sort of break of structure, pro trend, like I'm like interested in it, right? Just remember, these could get used as liquidity for something higher up too, right? These ones I think are out of play now. So we'll
Don't you
take those off.
classify this as a sweep? Like
So we'll
don't you
take those
classify
off.
this as a sweep? Like this one right here?
This one here, again, on
bullish, that's where.
yeah, on the 5 minute. You know, this one did sweep actually. So you see that?
Yeah.
So this flip zone isn't bad right here,
Yeah.
but
Not
again,
exactly. He's gonna.
could get used as liquidity, right?
Yeah.
So I'd prefer the one above it. If it misses us, that's fine, right?
Yeah. Kind of doing it. So there's one. Yeah. After the bear.
Hey,
Like, this
Rob,
one's nicer, right? So hey, what's up?
when taking continuations, you only enter when if there was like a sweep, right? Not like if there was just a break of structure.
No, yeah, there has to be a sweep, and the sweep
Okay.
usually has to be as a result of price tapping into some sort of demand, and then that demand failing. So
Failure.
like what we had here, right? And even with
Alright.
this, right? Like, see, I'll draw like a diagram of like what's happening, what I'm looking for, right? It's the same thing that I do on every backtesting session that we do, right? So price kind of going like this. We build our level of demand, right? Price pushes down into it, right? We sweep that, right? Maybe even sweep this, right? Price pushes down, right? It fails. The other thing that can happen, so that's, sorry, I didn't really draw that right, is you can kind of have something like this, right? Where, again, this is our demand level. Eventually it fails here, right? But you see how this reaction gets swept, right? So it's the same thing that happened with these two. So these are both valid zones, right? And then if they chain off of each other, they're even better, right? Obviously you would take the decisional. This can be misleading. It can get used as liquidity, but basically here are the two scenarios that can happen, right? So that's what I'm looking for in my continuations. Not the cleanest drawing, but you guys get the idea. Same thing as the models I've posted in Phantom resources. So you guys get the idea. So let's see what's happening.
And would you be like interested in taking some biases for in this 4-hour demand, like after like an M15 chalk or flip, it would
Yeah,
take some bias.
if we
Like,
get a 15-minute chalk, yeah, why not, right? We could do that. We can play the pullback up, right? But this is obviously like really bearish. Like, do we not all agree this is bearish 4 hour now? Like,
yeah, probably
taking out a
continue
lot
with this
of lows,
momentum.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll be careful even about entering some of these continuations because we're getting pretty deep in the leg. I'm actually gonna pull
Yeah.
this one off because yeah, it's probably gonna get taken. But let's see. Where's your change of character? It's pretty. I'm gonna do like the one that's a little more obvious. Do this one, right? Oops. But I want to see some sort of intention that we're actually gonna break up here. Like this is pretty weak. So until we close above this with like some sort of commitment or conviction behind it, then I'll look for potential longs, right? Because this is a pretty nice sweep. It's probably tapping into something in the extreme here, right? So that's nice. Sort of respecting it. But we're gonna wait a bit. You could have said that this was your chalk too, right? If you're being like, it's kind of like a mini chalk. But that's a little aggressive for me with how bearish we are. So I'm not gonna consider that. Price is ranging. Let me zoom in a little bit here. You get a better look at what's happening. Okay, it's sweeping this. Internal range liquidity. So this could very well hold, right? But again, like who's in control here, right? Supply, right? So to me, it's still higher probability that this is gonna fail, right? Until we start violating supply levels. So let's see if we break above any of this. Okay, good. So now we got our, like more of an internal chalk, right? I would consider that. We took this low, took this high, right? You could have even said it was this, but again, I like to be like a little like more conservative about it and wait for something more major like that and some sort of major push up like that too, right? Now we've actually wicked, I think, above this too, so that's pretty good. We're breaking multiple levels and violating multiple levels of supply, right? So we got this. This looks like it built some liquidity potentially for this low here, right? So a few places that we could enter off of, right? This one looked like it did sweep some sort of liquidity here. I'll zoom into it so you guys can see it, right? So this doji isn't the worst thing, but let's see. I wouldn't be playing this one though. Like, let me be clear about it. It's a flip, but like what liquidity are we really sweeping, right? It's not that good. So let's play forward. Let's see. So what do you think? What do you guys want to do? Set a limit on one of these? Does that seem fair as a pullback? And we'll just take like quick 5R. Yeah, there is equal lows on the 4 hour. I wouldn't even really call it equal lows. It's relative equal lows, right? But it looks more like we're kind of like chaining here. So again, we're just trying to play the pullback up to something here, right? Of course, this could get swept, right? And we could be completely wrong about it, but again, we can take some risks here. I don't think it's the worst idea to like maybe set, you know, a limit on that. Look, the stop loss is relatively small too, right? So let's see. Okay, we're in. As soon as we take that high, oh, it's kind of screwing around a little bit. It's not good. As soon as we take this high here, I'm gonna go break even. So we'll go break even here. That might even be a little bit premature. Like we could have waited maybe for this or this to go, right? But just because of the nature of the trade, we're playing a pullback. I mean, in theory, I actually should leave the stop loss open because we are in more corrective price action. But you know, I just want to protect our capital too, right? We don't need to be like that aggressive with it. So we'll see. And if we get swept out of that, that's fine. You could always like re-enter. It looks like we are gonna get hit break even on this, but let's see. Yeah, we could re-enter here, right? In theory, again, maybe I should have left that open. What do you guys think? Do you want to re-enter it? I don't think it's the worst idea.
Yeah, re-enter it.
Yeah, because it looks pretty good. I'm liking this setup.
Yeah, but like this one like came straight, then we just
Yeah.
kind of no adjustment.
So yeah, here's the thing too to remember, guys, right? This can all fail, and obviously this could get tapped into, right? So just remember, right? This could get used as liquidity. So let's see. Okay, we're in again. Okay, we got swept. So now we can maybe play this extreme, right? Yeah, we are kind of respecting this, right? Though here's the thing that I kind of like about it, right? Again, I'm gonna try to play the pullback here. We're being like pretty aggressive about it, but do you see how we tapped into this area of supply, right? Which also swept liquidity, which is nice. It makes it even more valid, right? I'm looking at the opposite side. It failed, right? But before that, look, we built liquidity here, right? So I think this was all just liquidity for the lower point here, right? Yeah, and there was no sweep, so it did come lower, right? Oh, actually, there was a sweep. It's just very subtle. It was this one here that I was looking at, right? So this one, maybe this one's a little better too, because this actually swept, right? The extreme. But that's just kind of the nature of it, right? So I'll enter this one too. We're being a little aggressive here, taking like quite a few entries, but look, we took a break even on the first one. It's cool. I think this one's worth like taking as well. So let's see. Just to play the pullback, right?
Like on the 4 hour, like we took out this high, so we might be expecting like
yeah, it's true.
a drop.
Let's see, yeah, it's kind of messing around again, right? Okay, it's good we covered that low, but I'm happy to take the L, right? Like just let the probabilities play out. Once we take out, I'd say this high and this high, I'm gonna go break even on it, and then we can look to take like partials, right? So again, the nature of playing a pullback obviously is that it's super corrective, right? So maybe you want to wait for like more of a high like this to go break even, or if you're doing your, you know, your 20% at 4R, you do that, right? But the way that I'm doing it right now is just break evens when I see like proper intent that we are gonna kind of push off, right? Yeah. Again, look, we're sweeping liquidity. Why are we sweeping liquidity? It's because we're reacting to some sort of like buy to sell wicks here, building liquidity, right? Sweeping and then pushing up, right? Let's see, okay, now we took out that high. I'm gonna go break even. What do you guys think? Should we just take 5R on this, or what do you want to do?
Partial.
Partial? Okay, so we'll partial
Yeah.
at these highs. Yeah, you know what, I actually think, Pete, good point. I think, if anything, we're probably gonna see reaction off of this zone here on the 4 hour, right? It just makes a lot of sense.
Subtle sweep.
Yeah. So I'll
let it run.
I'll let it run a little bit, but then I'm gonna hard TP once we get to around here, because I don't expect that price is going to come any, of course it could come higher, right? But I don't expect that it's going to come any higher than this, just with the amount of like volatility and momentum that we have pushing down here, right? So
yeah,
let's see. Like even here, I'm just thinking like as soon as we tap that 4 hour, I'm out. Oh, push it a little higher. Yeah, I say let's maybe exit this. I don't know, what do you guys think? We have quite a lot of profit here. It's pretty good. But let me set an actual TP because it's where is it? Yeah, now you have the there.
Take partials, like 20% run.
I'm gonna take more than that, honestly. Like, I think I'm just gonna hard TP this. Well, I guess we could do 80%. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Because that way we'll bank on if it comes any higher, right?
Yeah, we have pretty much counter trend, right?
Yeah.
If we were to say it's
we are
bearish.
counter trend. That's the problem. So like, even me, if I were like honestly, if I were trading this live, right, you would have had to hold through obviously spread hours or anything. You're pretty far away from your stop loss, so that's fine. But it's like, why be greedy about trading a pullback, right? Like really, we should hard TP here. Even if it does come up here, it's like you know, why would you hold that? There's no real point, right? Let's see here too if we're tapping into anything. Okay, we have this zone that we're tapping into, which is like our refined zone, right? I'll just mark it out with this tool so we can see. We've already tapped into it. And again, remember this is the zone I marked out previously where we had swept liquidity, right? So this, because here's the thing, I guess we're kind of coming into, I would say from swing structure, like a swing structure perspective, this 4 hour high is probably our swing high on the 15-minute, right? Just by eyeballing it. Again, I can't mark it out all that clearly here on Software FX, right? It's just the tools are not that good for it. But I'd say that we don't necessarily need to look for like a 15-minute change of character for this, right? For this zone, if we were going to try and short it, right? So there's two areas, again, I'd be happy to short this one, and I'm just going to close this one out because this is, I don't want to chase it, right? I don't want to like be greedy about it. Even though we partialed and stuff, it's fine. We took some good R off of that, right? I think we pulled, what did we pull, like 6-7 R out of it, right? Somebody's asking, would I partial rather than trail stop loss? Yeah, I don't trail stop loss, I partial. Especially when I do like my 1 minute type trades. It's always partials at like 15-minute zones, right? But anyways, what I was saying was, if our swing structure is kind of like this, let me draw it out for you guys so it's clearer. If my swing structure, you know, obviously our swing structure on the 4 hour would be something like, you know, this high, this low, right? Obviously taking this low out and these lows out, right? We would have been kind of like this, right? Took this low out, now we're bearish. This is my current leg. This is, you know, if we're looking at premium discount, it's a little bit below it, but I don't even use premium discount as much anymore because, again, I'm just doing continuations, right? I don't care. I'm just following momentum and order flow, right? I would expect that, yeah, price could respect this or this and maybe the extreme, but even then, that's kind of pushing it, right? We are pretty rangy, but like there's a lot of like push down and momentum down, right? So to me, from a 15-minute like swing structure perspective, remember if we use that same trick that I used before, if price is going like this, right? And this is our 15-minute swing structure, right? Which would be this whole leg, right? Or sorry, this whole leg. Then this would be my last stand of what would be considered bearish, right? So I'd be happy to enter as a, you know, just straight 15-minute risk, right? It did sweep liquidity like this. We obviously had some sort of demand fail here. We had a lot of demand failures, and now price is just using all of this potentially as liquidity to push price lower, right? To fulfill whatever order or price that like the BFI wants to fill at this level, right? Now on the flip side, if we were going to try and short off of this, right? If I have to break above this 15-minute swing high, I'm going to start considering this bullish, right? So my expectation is that it's very likely we're going to do this sort of thing, right? More likely than not, unless we get our 15-minute change of character, right? In which case I would look for, you know, a trade off of this, right? Or some sort of decisional like this, right? And then expect price to pop down, right? Because again, I want to see my levels of demand fail, right? This would be a level of demand here, right? Let's see it sweep some sort of liquidity like this, and then I would enter off of this or the extreme, right? So those are the two scenarios that we are gonna try to play out here. Let me clear my drawings. What do you guys think about that? Does that make sense? Yeah, the account is up about 8.5% or 8.5R. Yeah.
Hey, Roberto.
Yeah.
Yeah, the zone which you're marking right now, it's not a flip zone right away, right? Of a particular demand. It's a 15 minutes small demand which is going to, but the above zone which you have marked, it's like a 4-hour demand which has fallen. So the above zone is more valid, I think so.
Yeah, so it is a 15-minute flip zone. Look, we reacted off of this demand. It's interior demand, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the recent leg, right? But it's still pretty good, right? We swept some sort of liquidity. I would have liked to have seen like some sort of bearish candle in here that created this liquidity and then it got swept, but like we don't get that, right? That's fine. Price comes in, obviously it fails. The nice thing is we swept some sort of liquidity that was built prior to it. So that's good enough for me, right? And then it's also a 4-hour zone like that, right? So I'm not opposed to like just shorting this even market, right? Because I actually do think it's probably gonna hold here. Now again, it could get used as liquidity, right? We have all this liquidity that's sitting here. You have another like sort of flip zone here that built some liquidity for this zone up here. So we'll also set a limit above that, right? But remember, we don't want to attack price. We don't want to attack price with too many orders either, right? So at most, I'd be setting 2 limits at a time, right? And maybe re-entering a third time. But you know, if we're overdoing it, we're overdoing it, right? For this one, I'll just do the whole zone. Screw it. We'll see if we get tapped into that. I'm happy to take the L on this though, right? Like I want to be clear with you guys. So I'm just letting the probabilities play out, right? What else? On the 4-hour, let me see. Yeah, this is a flip zone, I'd say, right? What's tapping into this wick, right? Something here, right? It's not very clear, right? But you could argue that on the 15-minute, actually we can check on the 15-minute if we're tapping into something to the left. I'll clone this and let's see. So that wick there is this, right? So this is also kind of part of like the larger flip zone that developed, right? What are we tapping into? Okay, look, it is a flip zone. We tapped into this, right? So there you go. And then where did it fail? Right here, right? And what happened when we tapped into this again on the way down, right? We built this liquidity here, right? So does that make sense? I'm just looking at what the flip zones did and if they built liquidity or not. Now, if this had swept up higher like this, then I would have been maybe potentially keen to like enter off of that, but it didn't, right? And even if it did, there's a chance that that could have gotten used as liquidity for this, right? We're obviously inside this zone now, right? Let's see what happens. It's Asia session, so maybe you would have wanted to set this limit order before bed if you're from New York. If you're in Asia, then great. Then it's probably like a regular time for you. If you're in London, same thing. Probably, actually, if you're in London, this would be bedtime for you too. I just thought about it. Okay, so that's good. We're starting to get some sort of 15-minute chalk here, though I've already entered, right? You can potentially, again, we could potentially get swept out. That's obviously a possibility. Okay, it's starting to sweep again. All right, now we're pushing down with some real momentum, so that's good. Price is pushing. Our 4-hour is holding, right? It was a good call. Whoever called out this 4-hour zone, like, thanks, because I didn't actually like mark it out until then. So I'll give you that, right? But yeah, I don't know. Let's see if I'm starting to think there's a very, very low chance that this is going to get swept and price is going to tap into this. But I'm going to leave this order on because it's still valid for me until I say we break like these lows or even these lows, right? And same with my break-even. I'm going to wait a little bit because price could obviously come back and retest. But then we can also look at this zone. Okay, that zone doesn't do anything, so it's not valid. I was going to say we could look potentially for a scale-in, right? This is running pretty decently. Okay, we're making new substructure lows. It's not bad. We're still running only 3R, right? So I'm going to wait a bit until this low goes, and then we can actually break even on it and pull this sell limit order. So I'll push forward a bit. It's kind of the whole day. Yeah, this is going to get used as liquidity very likely. We're going to see some sort of pullback, right? But I don't see anything to the left that's like screaming to me that this is like, you know, good potential zone to play off of. Like what are we really violating here? Maybe we're violating something inside here, right? Obviously there's some sort of demand on the 5 or 1 minute that's sitting here, but like this isn't sweeping any liquidity, so it's like it's not really that good of a zone. If I were gonna play a zone, if anything, like I would enter here. Why? Because it swept some sort of liquidity, right? Again, it doesn't quite tap into this, which I don't like, right? But we do tap into this overall zone here, and then look at fails, right? So do you see how we tapped in, again, built liquidity, and then swept it, right? Well, we also failed here, right? But we really just wicked it. I'd say this is more of a failure, because we actually wicked like way lower. So if anything, I would play this zone, not this one, right? But this, it's not that this is wrong either. This just doesn't look like a high probability zone to me, right? This could work, right? Obviously, we could use this as liquidity, right? Because you're right, whoever marked out this green, like it did leave equal highs, relative equal highs too, right? But there's two ways you can interpret it, right? It looks like the high to the right is actually like lower, so you could see this as a supply chain too, right? And because we're making like new order flow and like structure lows, like substructure lows, because again we're violating demand, we can see this as a potential zone to play off of, right? Yeah, Sean is marking out. So we kind of missed this, but do you guys want to scale in here, or do you want to throw a limit on this? Let's actually make a decision on this. And I'll go break even on this already, so that we're actually risk free, and I'm gonna take off that sell limit.
Scale in, man.
You want to scale in? Okay. So
Yeah, bro.
Market on this one. Okay. So for this, I'll just cover the high, 14 pips. Whoever's marking out this green, I'm gonna do it for you, but don't think it's gonna tap into it. Let's see. Again, remember, we can't know like the true, like, I guess, player behind the moves at the end of the day, right? It's just playing our edge out, right? And our edge is marking out these high probability zones, right? Even these mid probability zones that make sense within the context of our plan, and then like playing it out, right? Executing on it. Okay, so we're kind of retesting here. That's not good because we failed to break this low, right? So if we're gonna screw around here, I'm not gonna, okay, never mind, looks like it's working. It's not bad. So I wanna see these lows go for me to go break even, yeah. We obviously have a lot of liquidity sitting here now too, right? Only problem is we have another meeting that's coming up, so I might just exit this early and pull that other limit order. I'm not even gonna go break even on it, because in a live like scenario, just remember, right? You can get slipped even out of break even into like negative. I've been slipped before. It sucks. You don't want to get slipped. So we're gonna like play it the way we would play it in a live market, right? Yeah. So this is really ranging a lot. I mean, I figured, right? There's a high news event or a high impact news event that's about to come up, right? So I'm probably gonna just TP this once we get a little bit into profit, because we're still chaining. Obviously, like, supply is still in control here, right? Not the worst thing. Demand is still getting violated, right? We're building a ton of liquidity to the downside. So,
Hey, Roboto.
yeah.
Yeah, I had one question. For example, we are in a 15-minute zone. We got a chalk and flip. We entered. Okay. Now, what's the right time to scale in? So should we wait for a complete break of structure, break even, and then scale in? Or when it comes to retest, we should scale in?
Well, where I scaled in, right? You saw where I scaled in on this, right?
Yeah, that was a 15-minute zone, but in real scenario, we enter on a 1 minute typically.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, on the 1 minute. For the 1 minute, it's the same. Yeah, so it's the same thing I'm looking for, right? It's not that I'm like, I mean, we're breaking structure. That's one way to look at it, but I'm more so looking for demand failures in a bearish scenario where we're looking for shorts. So the same way you would approach the 1 minute, imagine this is a 1 minute chart, right? And I see all of this happening. I'd set an order the same way. I mean, that is how I'm doing it, right? I'm literally placing orders how I would place it on the 1 minute, even though this is really far away from like the origin of the move, right?
Yeah.
The 4 hour, which would have been, this in theory would have been your 15-minute like higher time frame POI, right? If we were on the 1 minute, right?
Right.
I'm waiting for, again, these demand failures, right? And for the demand to create liquidity, right? So you see how it's building some sort of reaction here. It's kind of attempting to hold. It's attempting then to push down below it, right? It doesn't. It gets swept. And then we see a failure of it. See how we violate it here? When I see that, then I'm looking, to the left of where the failure happened to see what actually swept the liquidity that was generated by the initial reactions to that demand zone. And then I'd mark it out like that. So I would scale in on this, right, on the 1 minute. But I already scaled in here, right? I'm not going to scale in until I go break even on my trade. So if for you that's taking 20% at 4R, then you wait for that. For me, I'm waiting for like the catalyst that caused kind of the pullback, right, to fail, right? So in this case, I would wait for this to fail. I'd go break even. Then I would look for more scale-ins, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you first go break even, or you go 4R, 20% 4R, then only you go first, right? You don't risk two positions.
No, I don't want to have two things open as risk. The only time I'll have like two positions open as risk is if I'm trying to play a decisional and an extreme, right? So if price were back here, right, just as an example, and I wanted to enter off of this one and the extreme, I would set a limit on both potentially. But the way I do it is I play it one at a time. So I'll set my limit. I don't have the limit on the other one, and then I kind of want to see how price approaches this, right? Because if it approaches it a certain way, right, or we're ranging a lot, there's like certain scenarios where like I'm gonna like not place that extreme, right? If I think it's just gonna blow through it, right? So, or if for whatever reason, I guess you wouldn't have this scenario because you would be scaling in, right? You would have already had like your change of character and everything. But the other thing you can do is, instead of throwing a limit on the extreme, right, and having like two risk positions open like that, potentially having 2% open as like your risk, right, and it blowing through it, you can wait for price to tap into your extreme and then let it build the model again, right, that I'm playing here, which is basically this, right? I'm going to draw it again for you guys. I'm going to try to draw it as neatly as I can. Pretend none of this price action exists for a second, right? So say you have this one as a valid zone to play off of, right? Price is down here. Okay, whatever, it blows through our limit on that one. We take an L, okay? No big deal. I'm not going to set my limit on this yet. I'm going to wait for price to come into it, right? I'm going to wait until we get our chalk, right? Or what I can wait for is something like this, right? For price to attempt to push down, sweep, right? Maybe it mitigates this high again, right? And we start chaining. Potentially, like this is literally the start of the chain, right? You need two mitigations to start a chain, right? But you see how we built liquidity here? Now that I've violated this level of demand, right? Because obviously there's like interior demand here. Then I'm going to start looking for either this to get used as liquidity, right? And to enter off of this extreme, or if we swept some sort of liquidity in this and we violate this low and we start seeing momentum's kicking in and we're building new structure, like substructure lows, then I'd be happy to enter off of this one, right? And so for this, right, because I'm now, I've taken one L here, right? I was too early. Now, because I've already taken L on that, I'm only going to try and trade off of one of these. I'm not going to set limits on both either, right? But you can keep applying the same thing over and over. Maybe I decide, okay, I'm not going to enter this one. I'm just going to enter this one, right? Or maybe I enter this, right? And it falls like that, right? And there's your order, kind of sitting like that, right? So you can wait for all of that and just wait for, it's essentially like a double confirmation entry, so to speak, right?
Yeah, Rob, one more thing. Last 2-3 days, if you just look into the price action of EU, generally we are not getting a proper chalk or a flip. It's happening in 15 seconds and it's just dropping. When it's happening, actually, it's not continuously following through. Last 2 days, PA, if you just look into it.
Yeah. So you're talking about the 1 minute though, right?
Yeah, in the 1 minute it didn't happen. In the 15 second it happened. So in the 1 minute it just dragged down. So we couldn't. I just placed a limit. It never came back.
Yeah, so that can happen, right? Like, here's the thing. I personally don't trade the 15 second anymore. I only use it to look for liquidity on the lower time frame for like my 1 minute entries. I only trade the 1 minute now. Well, not that I only trade the 1 minute, but I mean I don't go lower than the 1 minute. I trade the higher time frame and everything too, right? Like I use it to build my top down analysis. But do you know why that happened? Like for me, this week was weird too because I really only had like one profitable day. It's because price is ranging a lot because we had NFP today, right? That typically happens, right? Actually, that's not true because I know we had a lot of volatility before NFP actually happened, but prior to that, yeah, I mean, like, you had a couple days of pretty rangy price action, right? Yes, this meeting's being recorded, Rama. Don't worry, I'm gonna upload it in the course afterward, so don't stress. Okay, so I'm gonna exit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess before we continue, does that answer all the questions I guess you had? We'll take a look at this week's price action too. Maybe we'll do some markups.
That will help us out. Please. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I'm gonna pull all of these off because, again, look, what do we have around the corner, right? It's New York Open. I mean, we could hold it a little bit. What do you guys think? I'm gonna set break even on this. Do you guys want to be a little bit risky and like see if New York Open causes some volatility down here? Right, we might sweep and then push up, or we could see this fall pretty quickly, right? You want to hold a little bit? Okay. Or yeah, you know what? Let's take partials on both of them. That's a really good idea. I like that. I'm still gonna close it fully before this. I just want to see if I can squeeze a little bit more profit out of it before we actually like exit fully, right? Because again, I don't want to hold through high impact news. I'm gonna pull the sell limit off because we don't need that, right? Let's see. Yeah, it's probably just gonna range though. Okay, pulling a little bit more out of it. It's good. I mean, really, this is the same as us just like hard TPing here, right? You guys realize that, right? It's just if it really moves a lot before tapping in or before news happens, then maybe we'll be able to pull a little bit off. But I don't think it's worth the risk. Let's see. Okay, yeah, now we're kind of pushing. Let's see, so we're tapping into something here, right? It's just, I don't want to try to call the pullback necessarily either. Yeah, I think for this I'm just going to exit out. Let's see. There you go, that's a good call. And then there you go. We would have got swept out of our positions because of FOMC. Biden's talking. I forget what year this even is. This is January 2021. We're still in lockdown, I remember. Me and Dan were backtesting a lot back then. Pretty much every day. I don't do backtesting like this every day anymore. I do those recaps more. The ones that I've been showing you guys in the previous calls, right? Okay, so let's see. What do you guys want to do now? Let's kind of like reset here and delete all of this and actually like figure out what's going on, right? So same thing. Look, we have this, the built liquidity pushed up. We're starting to get a bit of a failure. We wicked it, right? So potentially we can look at on the 4 hour this zone next to maybe play off of, right? I would say this is still in play too, but like again, I'm gonna wait for a 15-minute chalk if we have to come all the way back up here, right? Because again, my 15-minute swing structure is gonna be this high, right? And then my 4 hour swing structure is probably gonna be this high or this high, this swing high, right? So I'm still super bearish on it. The daily is now obviously starting to really push bearish, right? I would say like based off this low getting taken, right? Really, if this low goes, we can expect super bearish price action, right? So let's see. I actually don't remember what happens on EU in January because I was trading GU and like EJ back then and AU. I traded a little bit of EU, but I was never that good at it back then either. So I had better luck with like, yeah, EJ. I think I traded a little bit of GJ too, but AU I remember I did a lot better with in January, like earlier this year. I only really ever mastered, well, I don't want to say I mastered EU because you never really master any pair, right? I only got better at EU when I just solely focused on it. So, and that's why we kind of do these backtesting sessions on just EU because I don't really trade GU that much. Though, you know what? Maybe we'll do. I'm willing to try it again if you guys want. How many of you in here trade GU or AU? Because I do want to give some variety to it too. I know there's some of you. Yeah,
I trade both.
Yeah.
GU. GU is king, mate.
I know most of you in here trade EU though. Am I right?
Yeah.
Let's do a quick poll. I want to see. I'm gonna draw something out here for you guys. Okay.
Yeah, man, because I heard AU.
Yeah. So if you trade EU, if you trade What's AE? Aussie Euro? You mean EA?
Just
Euro
one
Aussie?
mistake. Just one mistake. Just one mistake.
That's okay. Okay, let's do a quick vote, right? I want to actually see. I want to do a poll in here. If I do GU, EU, AU, right? Yeah, to the side. Do your little hearts or whatever. Who does what in here? Only do one. I saw that. Somebody cheated.
Yeah,
Like
there made
4
one.
check marks for one person.
Yeah.
Paran, you're cheating a little bit there, and I see that.
And
Okay, it
also
looks
I
like
trade
it's pretty evenly split though, if I had to guess. I'm surprised not more people are trading AU.
Yeah, I like AU,
Yeah,
but
Czar
GU's
not.
king.
Who
Roberto?
Dan, was that you? This guy, man. He's saying South African ZAR versus North Korean won, which I don't think is even. It's not even a free market. Go look at a North Korean won versus US dollar. It's actually just flat for some reason. I don't know why.
Hey Roberto,
Yep.
I had a question. Do you think is it better to trade two pairs with the same strategy like GU and EU because it complements each other a lot, and you can get more opportunities and remove the FOMO which comes when you're trading one pair. You
Yeah.
tend to get FOMO because you get one opportunity, two opportunity per day of a strategy.
Yeah.
So do you think you could try two pairs at one time?
So okay, yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question that might be a little bit more personal. Are you consistent with either of them? First of all, or
I'm
no?
consistent with EU.
EU?
I'm consistent.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
If you're consistent with one of them, yeah, sure. If you're not, like, stick to one. And the other thing is, GU and EU don't really correlate, but EU and AU do, right? So when you say they complement each other, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? They kind of move differently. So it gives you that. The only thing is with multiple pairs, remember, you're dividing your attention now into two different pairs, right? So you have double the work to do in terms of analysis, markup. You would ideally be doing daily recaps on both, right? Backtesting both, all of that, right? So I don't know, if you find you get FOMO from just trading one pair, I mean, I guess, but look at me, right? Like, I don't have any FOMO, and I literally, right now, I'm just trading EU New York. I'm doing fine. You don't need, I'm telling you right now, you don't need more than one session, one pair. But if you find, I would say, like, if you're going to trade multiple pairs, it's better if you kind of scale up, right? Like, use it to scale up, not to address a FOMO problem. If you have a FOMO problem, stick to one pair, right? Just prove to yourself, like, you don't need it, right? Practice some patience of, like, not trading some days, right? I traded 3 days this week. I didn't trade today. I slept in, and same with yesterday, because I was trying to fix my computer on Thursday. But Friday, I mean, it was NFP. I was like, what's the point, right? I'm already up for the week. I hit my profit target for the month. Like, I don't need to force it and give back my profits because I'm getting fear of missing out, right? So that's my advice to you. But yeah.
thank you
Ara,
so
what? Yeah, sorry. Did you have anything else to add to it?
Yeah, I had just one more question. I think so. The strategy which I use generally is the same strategy which you must be using. Like, it's a 15-minute with a chalk and flip. I have been using it consistently now.
That's good.
One thing is which I'm struggling is how to trade after NFP or we had today. How to trade that, because I get a bit FOMO'd out at that time because it moves very, very fast. Yeah, either it's a good I think so it's a good opportunity if I can trade well, but I really I want to form a strategy to trade those sessions,
Right.
which will be different from my other sessions.
Oh, that's
So
fair.
how to do
So
that?
yeah, again, another good question too, right? I'll tell you right now, that's not my strong point, is like even trading after like big news events like that, because price kind of gets out of whack to me, like the way that I interpret it. Though there is a way to trade. I mean, you could practice doing it, right? The other thing to remember is, like, again, obviously you don't want to trade the actual like news event unless you're extremely experienced and you know how to trade it, right? Like, usually I know, like, Sam and like Blackwatch and even Aaron, they'll trade like on the 5 second to actually catch the move. But of course it's risky, right? You can get slipped one way or the other. If you're not like very confident, you don't think there's a very high probability that you're going to catch the proper move on it, then I would say don't trade it. Usually they're trading after or like right before it, right? But in terms of like trading, even just finding like a POI to trade off on the 15-minute, after the fact, sometimes what will happen is price continues to be volatile, or it'll like slow down in volatility, and that's why it kind of throws me off personally. But we can take a look at today and see if there even is anything. I haven't even really looked at the charts today, I'll be honest. I kind of glanced at it, but and you can take a look at it. It's late enough that maybe there was a move, but again, it's also Friday, so it's like, if anything, you're going to be taking like an end of week, end of day Friday scalp after NFP, right? On the 1 minute. So we'll look. We'll do a quick recap on it for you.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Ara, to answer your question, what is a V-shaped recovery? All a V-shaped recovery is this. Let's see. Actually, you have one kind of here, right? But it's basically you have price go in and go out, kind of like that, right? And then you get your failure, use this as liquidity, and you're maybe trading the extreme to go like that. That's all a V-shaped recovery is this, right? It's not a particular setup or anything, it's like a confluence, right? It's a very good confluence too, because it shows that, you know, there's some sort of like momentum in the market, right? So you guys have probably seen, I haven't entered anything because again, look, we had another news event here. Biden speaking again here, right? So I'm gonna wait. You can even push to a little bit later. I mean, you can try to trade this like post-news stuff too. I don't think it's the worst idea. It didn't even really cause that much volatility, right? But I remember now, yeah, there was a lot of these like speeches Biden was doing and stuff early in the year. So let me clear this out. What do you guys think? Should we try to like just play this chain here? Let's see if we can find the liquidity first. Like this might get used as liquidity, right? This here failed here, use this as liquidity. So like this, I mean, that's not the worst. I'm gonna throw a limit on this. We'll do it on the 50%. If it doesn't tag us, it doesn't tag us, whatever. We're up like 18R right now, right? Yeah, or we could play that one, of course. But look, now price is just falling, right? Just starting to take out all these like levels of internal range liquidity. Now we can probably expect a pullback on this 4-hour swing low, right? It's a pretty major pullback in low, right? So we'll see. I'm just gonna play price forward a little bit longer or a little bit faster. I'm Canadian. Yeah, I'm not American. Somebody was asking. You can probably tell by my accent. I also drink maple syrup for breakfast, so.
For real?
Yeah. So does Dan, actually. He's Canadian. He also drinks maple syrup for breakfast. It's a good way to start the day, right? So, let's see. This one would have been a pretty good scale in, actually. I just wasn't really paying attention. Price is super bearish, right? So I can just keep playing these continuations until we get like, until this low goes, then I can expect like a bigger pullback, right? We might even pull back into this. We'll see. Price is ranging. Okay, it sweeps that. Let's keep playing forward.
Partial.
Yeah, let's actually see. Okay, look, so we're sweeping this. Now I'm gonna expect a pullback, right? Why? Because we took out external range liquidity. Yeah. I'm gonna wait for a chalk though. If we're gonna try and play like pullbacks again. This is obviously really bearish, right? But we have a lot of like ground to potentially cover here in the pullback, so it's not bad, right? Okay, there's my chalk, right? You guys see that? 15-minute change of character right there, right? So let's see, what makes sense for us to play? I don't want to play that one. I mean, it swept something, but not clearly enough. Might get used as liquidity probably for this or the extreme, yeah. Or we can wait too. We can wait until we tap into one of these, and then we keep breaking supply again. Because remember, it's going to be pretty corrective anyways, right? It's the nature of a pullback, is it's going to like be pretty rangy, right? So what do you guys think? Wait, or do you want to set a limit already? Okay, we're making these structure highs anyways. We might miss the pullback here. Okay, so Vinay is asking, for taking continuation trades, can I explain the steps which we should consider for taking continuations? So this is recorded, this whole backtesting session, and I explained it a couple times what I'm looking for, right? It's the same as like when somebody was asking there about taking scale-ins, that's the same approach I'm taking, right? Just minus the whole, if you're not in a trade already, right? Minus the whole management part. I'm just waiting for, again, price to continue to push down. In the case of shorts, right, I'm waiting for demand to fail to build liquidity, and then for price to retest something that swept that liquidity that was created by the initial reaction to demand that failed, right? It's just showing, right, who's in control. And then I'm just playing the supply chain, right? In a bullish scenario, it's the opposite. I'd be playing the demand chain, right? So everything I said just flipped, right? So let's see. Yeah, I don't think I really want to. I'm actually going to take this limit off for now. This is like pretty bullish. You see how bullish it is, the way it's like moving up? Probably going to blow through that. Looks like it is anyways. Could be wrong. Yeah, there you go. So, can you guys see now, obviously, how like Vinay, even for this, right? This would technically be a continuation of the pullback of 15-minute structure, kind of running bullish. So again, what am I going to do, right? Rather than just marking out these zones, I'll show you what I do from left to right, right? Because this is not the right way to do it, to mark out these zones. I'm just doing it for the sake of like being somewhat quick, right? Let me delete these. So before I even mark out any of these zones, yeah, I look to the left, right? So you have this, right, which is a flip zone. It looks like there was some sort of reaction, swept some sort of liquidity, so that validates this. This could get used as liquidity, right? We also have this area here that, yeah, Miguel marked out. I would say Miguel, it's actually this one here. Just couldn't see. I guess we can kind of consolidate all of this, right? Because this is all really like supply, right? Price tapped into it, right? Look, we swept the initial reaction here, right? Yeah, see that? Even if we were just to mark out, like this, whole buy to sell action here, because this is obviously a bearish candle, right? We're tapping, attempting to push it up, we sweep, right? Yeah, so you could play the wick or the entire zone like this, right? I kind of want to show you guys like how big of like, I'm gonna stop doing EQ because we're missing trades, but I want to show you like we can continue to pull really good R. We're only like 2/3 into the month of January. If I do like these 17 pip stop losses, like watch, I'll just keep taking 5-hour trades for these pullbacks and like continuations. I'll hold them obviously, right? Maybe not through news, but we'll make good R off of this, right? This is already like a pretty good month. Okay, we're still pushing up. So I'm gonna set a limit here now on this, right? Do you see why I'm interested in this one? And like why I didn't long off of this? Yeah, exactly. Whoever marked out the blue zone here, right? You see how we pushed in, we built some sort of liquidity, right? And now we're using that as liquidity, right? You could have argued, okay, we swept this, but it's like, again, remember, it's the thing that I keep on like mentioning, right? I always want price to come back to me, not for me to chase price, right? It's kind of like a cat. Like you don't chase a cat around if you want to pet it. You make noises to lure it over to you and then you can pet it, right? So it's the same thing. It's a weird comparison, but that's kind of how I'm treating the market here, right? Weird analogy. And then obviously if there's a lot of momentum, like this is just going to sweep and go, but let's see. It might not tap us in. Looks like it's just tapping into the range, building liquidity. We're coming up into spread hours now, so I would have pulled the order here, but I'll leave that on still. We'll see. Okay, it doesn't tap us in. It's fine. All right, and then it started chaining up, making new structure, right? So if anything, I'd be looking to maybe play this wick here because it didn't get fully like mitigated. But then at the same time, right? Okay, I mean like this built liquidity, whatever. Looks like off of this buy to sell, right? Swept here, right? See the reaction I'm talking about? And then we failed over here, right? But here's the problem. Now we've tapped into our 4-hour high here, right? So really we should look to the left and see, do we tap into anything? We'll wait for a 15-minute change of character to reapproach this, right? But I didn't really see anything super valid. I would have preferred it came into this. I wouldn't have longed this, as I mentioned. And this, I don't really love this price action. It's just kind of rangy, right? It's pretty much Asia session, so I always search for flips when finding the right zone to continuation. Yeah, for continuations, yes, but again, remember what I keep telling you guys, right? Looking for sweeps of liquidity every time, right? It has to sweep some sort of liquidity as a result of their action, or I'm not going to take it. There's no point, right? So let me just think here. How would we approach this? We got our change of character here, right? You guys see that? Oops, I used the wrong tool. Should be here, right? So we got our change of character on the 50 minutes, so potentially we can play the extreme. That's the only thing I see that's valid right now. This doesn't really sweep any liquidity that I can see on the 50 minute anyways, right? So you have that, and yeah, I don't know, let's see. I'm gonna wait a bit though. Oh, I should probably pull this limit off too. Take that off. Let's see if it actually taps into it though, and then pulls back. Probably will. Oh, okay. So let's see, for continuations, again, same thing. What am I doing, right? Draw this, right? We're kind of chaining off of this here, so move it like that. But look, now we have news again, so I'm gonna stay out. We don't need to trade, right? We're already sitting on an 18R, so wait a bit. Okay. Now I think we can look. We have more news coming up again too. It's up to you guys. What do you think? Do you guys want to try and attack these levels here for shorts yet, or do we want to wait until news plays out? What do you think? Yeah, we chalked bullish now too, right? But that doesn't really matter to me. I'm still looking for shorts. Attack? Okay, let's attack. Oh, okay, after news? Okay, you know what? We'll make a compromise. I'll do one trade off of this, okay? Let me think here. What do we want to attack though? Let's pay attention to everything that's happening here. We also have this. Like, I just want to pay attention to this zone, right? Because this has not been like... Okay, it tapped into the wick actually, so it's not bad. But let's just see. So we could play the extreme, right? But then this could also get used as liquidity. You got to be careful of that, right? If anything, place an order on here, or we could wait for a change of character and play it, right? Because look, we failed to break this low now. Chance that this high or this high might be weak. We just got to be careful. Okay, I'm gonna pull this off before news because I would not leave this on. No way. Even if it works, like, I'm not taking that, you know? Okay, there you go. It would have swept this out anyways, right? So let's see. I'm still bearish on this, right? Remember. So this guy uses liquidity, right? We have like this really messy like wick here, I guess, that we've tapped into. So let's see. Let's wait for our chalk and like failure of this demand, right? Like, we're building some sort of liquidity. Maybe price will come back into this. We'll see. After news, after news. Okay, now our demand has failed, right? I don't see this as sweeping any liquidity, so I'm gonna play the extreme on this. I think this is a fair play. I'll do like, we'll do this 11 pip stop loss. Just looks like it's gonna come a little higher. Yeah, okay, we're in. Nice, it's looking good. So let's wait till we take out, I would say honestly this low to go break even, or this low, yeah. But there's still the chance it's going to retest it, right? So I'm going to leave my risk open on it. Let it play around. If it sweeps us, it sweeps us. No biggie. Oh, we have spread hours here, actually. So we would have wanted to get out of that anyways. That's fine. I'll take an L on it. Not a big deal. And then we have news here again around the corner, right? This is PMI. Yeah. This probably won't cause a ton of volatility, but cause a little bit, right? Okay, price is now swept this high. Let's see if we close above it though. Because then I'm going to look now potentially to change my bias bullish again, right? But No, we're just wicking it, so that's probably just a sweep. So that's the other thing that can happen, right, guys? Is you can sweep these like POIs, right? And then if price starts like pushing down and chalking after that, then we can look for shorts. Just approach it as a sweep, right? But if we really close above it, then I'm gonna be a little bit more worried and think like, not worried, but it's gonna like influence my bias and make me flip to bullish potentially, right? This is pretty rangy price action, so I'm just gonna stay out of it. There's not a lot of like potential arb you can pull out of this, right? At most, if I were to like long and short here, it's like, what am I gonna pull? 2-3 R out of each trade? No point, right? So let's wait a bit, push it forward. We'll do a couple more trades and then we'll hop on the actual charts because I want to do some examples of, I want to do some trading view stuff too, right? Okay, look, so this has finally failed. This is that major low I was kind of waiting for. Look, we built liquidity here, right? This whole thing got swept, right? So let's see, we have, I'm just going to mark out the chain, right? We have this, that taps into this, that basically taps into this. You could consider this liquidated or like mitigated, right? So we kind of have a nice chain there. It wouldn't be against that, right? Again, this to me is just a sweep, right? If we'd closed above it, then I would be maybe looking bullish, but I think this pullback is over, right? Between this whole leg, right? You kind of have price, my swing structure would be like this. If you guys follow my cursor, like that. So price pulled back to past the 50%. It could come into this, of course, right? So we could long there, but I don't love that price action, right? I mean, I don't want to like trade into a trap either, right? Why am I going to chase like a pullback, right? Like I'll do it for you guys, but I don't think this is going to work. We'll see. We could try to like just play this chain that's now forming, right? Well, why would I do that though? Like it's clear supplies and control too, right? So this doesn't even really make sense to enter. I'm gonna do it for you guys anyway, so let's see. We could pull back from here, but it's probably just gonna get taken out. Yeah, there you go. Oh, just for awareness? Okay, it's all good. We'll take the L anyways, so maybe we make a trading error, right? Make it realistic. Okay, we're pushing down. So I'm gonna keep this one here because it looks like, I mean, it looks like we are actually kind of respecting this area of demand here, right? So just be aware of that too. We are reacting to this, right? Push price forward a bit. I don't really see any other immediate zones that I want to play yet. Okay. So we have this. Potentially try to maybe continue to short this, right? You guys see this chain that's formed here? It's pretty good, right? What do you think? Yeah, and you also have these zones up here too, which is a good point, right? Again, could this not all be liquidity? Of course it could be, right? Exactly, Miguel, you got it. So, gotta be careful of that, right? Very possible if that's liquidity. V-shaped recovery, yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna sweep it. Let's see. So if anything, I'm potentially gonna look for a short right here, right? What do you guys think? Should we do it? Throw a market on that? What's not nice about this to me, like, okay, look, it's swept liquidity, but I don't know, not that clear. This is just like whatever. This might get used as liquidity too, right? I actually prefer this zone up here, but I'm gonna do both, just for the sake of it. I think it's worth risking on both, right? I'll do the whole zone. 8 pips, it's not bad. Okay, we're in. Okay, that gets taken out. It's all good. Might not even come up to the higher one. Let's see. Okay, we're in. Whoa, that almost took us out. That was pretty close. Jeez. Getting volatility in New York, right? Oh, spread hours. Was that spread hours? Yeah. I think we would have been okay on that one. Could have always re-entered it in Asia too, right? Left the limit. But this looks like this looks like it wants to fall. We'll just play it. And maybe we'll TP before news again, right? Oh, okay. So let's see, should we secure profit here? I'm thinking we probably should, because we don't know if news is gonna cause like huge push up like this, right? So we gotta be careful of that. What do you guys think? TP? Or should we wait a little bit? TP? No, let's wait a tiny bit. Let's see. Let's see if we can pull more out of it. We could have partial TP on it too. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, I'm gonna take half off. And let's see if we can go a little bit lower before news, because we still have some time, right? We're still in London session, so we could wait until, yeah, like right before news to see if like, let's see if this fails, this low here, because right, there's a lot of liquidity sitting below it. Okay. Let's think here, guys. What do you think? Should we wait? Wait a little bit longer. Oh. I'm just trying to squeeze as much as I can out of it, right? Yeah, TP. Let's TP it. Fuck it. Because let's see what happens now with news. Oh, okay, we TP'd a little early. Holy crap. That's okay. I'd be happy with that, eh? Like, I know some people would complain. They're like, oh fuck, I wish I like held it, you know. But let's see, what does news do? What was that news anyways? Oh, it was FOMC. That's actually a surprisingly low like volatility FOMC, to be honest. Let's do one more trade, and then we'll switch to trading view for like the last 20 minutes. We have news again, so I'll wait a little bit on that end. We'll wait. Let's see what news does. Okay, tons of volatility. Pushes up, right? So usually I'll wait, right? Like, here's the thing. Again, I'm not the best at trading like post-news price action, but you know, this isn't that volatile. So again, I'd probably look at like these zones here. I'm still super bearish on this, right? Why? Because we're failing to like really break any highs here, right? We left equal lows here. We're overall bearish on the daily and 4-hour and even the 50-minute. I would still say swing structure is bearish on the 50-minute, right? If we just look at 4-hour candlestick structure, right? You see how we're doing high, low, lower high, lower low, right? We're breaking, I would say, some internal lows, but yeah, again, there's obviously the possibility that price is going to just go up too, right? So it is very rangy price action, not the easiest thing to play, but let's see. Do one more trade. And we'll look at today's price action because that should be fun. I'll do an actual markup with you guys on it. Shouldn't take longer than 20 minutes. Okay, price is failing. Sorry, I'm not marking out everything here. I'm just kind of observing, right? Too, right? Oops. This zone actually looks pretty good. We can wait a bit. We don't need to take it as a risk entry either. Buy? We could have played the pullback actually, but I think this is gonna hold. Like, we have a nice chain that's kind of formed here, right? Do you see how we swept liquidity? Whoops, swept liquidity. Kind of did this, right? We keep reacting to these zones, right? So this 4-hour zone doesn't look bad. And that's kind of what this is, so let's wait a little bit, yeah. That's what I'm expecting. We may have just missed it, let's see. This swept liquidity too. We also have this one that swept liquidity. So there's 2 zones we can play off here, right? These are, I'm gonna take more of a risk entry on these because it looks like it wants to go. Again, there's a lot of liquidity sitting below it. And I'm trying to play like this chain and this sweep, right? That makes sense. So, oh yeah, we did. I would not consider that a chalk personally. Like, that's too subtle. I think these are equal lows. But yeah, I'm saying I kind of want to enter this before we even get a chalk because it looks pretty good. It's New York Open, almost 9 a.m. Eastern, so we might get some volatility here. I just want to kind of see here if this. Okay, so it's hard to see, right?
I have a question.
Yeah, of course. What's up? What's your question? Cover the high there.
Oh, in 4 hours.
Yeah, what about the 4 hour?
Foolish.
The 4 hour, no, my swing structure on the 4 hour looks like this, right? Let me draw it. I'm bearish on it. My substructure is bullish, yeah. I guess if you want to call it that, but even then it's like, maybe you would say your 15 minute is, but no, I would say my 15 minutes bearish too, right? Because we're kind of going like this, right? Breaking lows. I would have considered, here's my 15 minute, right? Remember, I can read my 15 minute from the 4 hour, right? Let me take off history on charts for a sec. It's not so messy.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so my 15 minute, right, would be kind of like this, right? Right, so that's bullish to me. See how we're breaking highs, right? Oh no, sorry, it's not bullish, it's bearish. We're bearish based off of this, right? So this is our current, our current trading range. I got it kind of mixed up there. Yeah, but in terms of like our substructure, yeah, I mean, we're bullish on that. So we could have played like the pullback on this, if anything, right? But again, overall, I'm just trying to follow my overall like higher time frame bias, which is this, right? So right now, 15 and 4 hour are in alignment, so I can happily set risk entries on this without waiting for a chalk. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can wait for the chalk too, right? Look, I just got swept out of this. So let's wait. Let's see. This 4 hour looks like it might hold though, I don't know. Or maybe this high will, right? You never know. Okay, now we've kind of chalked. Did we chalk? No, it's still kind of equal lows. Very subtle, right? Almost looks like a sweep. So let's wait a bit. Until we break those lows and really violate demand. We also have spread hours here. So
Late New York.
yeah, it's very late New York. So here's Asia. Asia's just consolidating. Now we have news, so let's wait for the news to play out. See, our short wasn't bad, it's just we got swept out of it. Happens sometimes. It's okay. Okay, wait, so that was the whole month actually we just completed there. Right, that was all of January. So we did 19 trades, we pulled about 20 R. That's pretty good. Let's look at the stats. I mean, you guys want to wrap it up on that, and then we'll go to a trading view because we have about 20 minutes left. Or we can continue and do maybe one more trade and spend the last like 15 minutes on, yeah, TV. Okay, we'll do TV. AKA
Trading view sounds good.
Yeah. So what was our strike rate on that? Who's good at math here? Total trades 19, lost trades 9, profit trades 10. What's our strike rate, guys? Come on, easy math.
50-50.
Yeah, just about
50% pretty much.
pretty much 50%. I think it's actually like well, let's see. I'll pull the
53%.
calculator up. I want to get the exact number on it. So
Okay.
if you guys don't know how to
Not like
calculate
this.
strike rate with TradingView, right? It's all you have to do is do 19 trades, right? or no, sorry, our 10 winning trades, right, profit trades, divided by our total trades, which is 19, so it would be 52%, right? Not 48 or 47. Does that make sense? Unless, did I do the math wrong? I don't think I did, right?
Yeah, you're right.
We got it right. If I did, say I did 25 trades in total, and I only profited on 10, right? Then it would be 10 divided by 25. So you always want to do the your profit divided by your number of closed trades, right? That would be a 40%, right? Quick maths. Quick maths class for you guys. Yeah, not bad. What's our expectancy on this? So our average profit trade was 3R. Largest profit was, oh really? Our largest profit trade was only 5.2. That's pretty interesting. I forget if it shows expectancy here. Oh yeah, okay, our expectancy is about 1.124R. It's not bad. It's okay. I think that's a pretty good month, right? You guys would be happy with that. If you were risking 0.5%, you would have made 10%. So it's like, man, that's a good month. You would have hit the profit target, right? On an FTMO or whatever, like your challenge, right? Beyond that, I think 20R is a good target to do every month. Because remember, if you scale up, whatever, with a prop firm account, or if you find private investment, every time you scale up 100 grand, right? If you're risking 0.5%, 1%, whatever, it's like you're literally doubling the money, right? So if you start with 100 grand, then to 200, right? And then to 400K, right? 4 FTMO accounts. You're making a ton of money. We're talking like, I think after profit split it'd be something like 16 grand US or something like that, right? If you're risking 1%, almost 32 grand, right? So pretty good stuff. Let me pull up now TradingView. Let's actually go through this. We'll do I'll just do it in hindsight because whatever, right? Where was NFP? It was at 10, right? You guys tell me. Was it 10? Or was it before? Was it like 8:30? Does anybody know? I'll check for it real quick. Let's see. It was 7:30 Central. So it would have been 8:30. Yeah, okay, so there you go. I have it marked already. So there's 8:30. I'm just marking it so we have reference to for it, right? Let's start with 4-hour. We'll do like the top down or even daily, right? I've taught you guys how to do this before, so I want to see how you guys do it. What am I going to mark out on the daily? Remember, just my proximal zones. I won't even necessarily mark out structure, right? What would I mark out on the daily? What's even relevant here? It's really only one zone that really makes sense. This one, right? Just because it's close. What's the point in marking this? We're not even close to it, right? You could, but it's like you're just mucking up your charts for no reason, right? Listen, if you do that, I don't want to like say that it's bad either. Even this one, like, it's too far away, right? I'll do it for you guys, but I maybe at most I would do just this one and this one, right? And here's the thing: I'm not even gonna mark the daily on the lower time frame here on 4-hour or I mean this daily here that's like right by it, because we're gonna see on the 4-hour like it's pretty clear, right? Miguel says mark these wicks. I mean you could, right? I guess it did flip off of that, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, I mean you could set an alert for it, but here's the thing: you're gonna look at this and mark this up every day and know that it's coming to the daily. You're gonna be aware of it as long as you're marking up stuff properly, right? Now, I don't want to say the way I'm doing it is like the only way to do it either. Maybe you have another way of doing it that works too. Nothing wrong with that, right? I'm just showing you like with my experience how I like to do it, so I keep it clean, right? Because nobody likes spaghetti charts, right? Okay, 4-hour. So let's mark out our structure on this now. So without using the trick, I'm gonna, well actually I'll have you guys do it. Show me where my swing points are and what my structure is. It's very clear that it's bearish, but where are my swing highs and lows on this? Yeah, just circle it. Okay. Remember, swing highs and lows, I'm saying. Okay, I'm getting all sorts of things here, so I'll just do it. I'll show you guys what I think it is. Okay. Do this gray 4-hour, right? And again, okay, if you really want to use the trick, right, go to the 16 hour, and I would mark it out like that, right? But let's go on the 4 hour. I think most of you had it right, honestly. So it would have been, I'll just start from here before like this low breaks, right? I would have said that you had this, this low gets broken here, so probably like that, right? And then like this. And again, I'm not counting all this like internal structure like that, right? So that's my 4 hour. Makes sense? Where are my breaks of structure? Here, right? Here, right? This I'll delete because we don't really need it. I guess, I mean, we can leave it on, it doesn't matter. Right? This is just that, I think this was, I don't even remember what this is. This is some sort of like FOM speech or something. I don't exactly remember, maybe it was CPI. So yeah, what's my current trading range? This, right? Okay, good. Where's my 15-minute swing structure? I'm gonna go to the 15-minute, right? So we're obviously bearish on that. Let me turn off sessions so we clean this up a little bit. Let's see, do I even have this set up properly? Yeah, it's okay. I'll take it off. What does my 15-minute swing structure look like? Do you guys want to use the 4 hour trick, or do you guys want to try and eyeball it manually? I want to see if you guys are able to like recognize where it is. Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, I actually agree with that, with how, I mean, you guys are all marking it out the same place, so that's really good. Everybody's in agreement on that. Good. Good. So let me mark it up, right? We have, we'll start from this low, right? Where is it? 15-minute swing structure. So actually, I'll even start back here because I guess that's another way to do it, right? Somebody was saying they want to mark this whole thing out, but you're marking out like 4 hour swing structure on that, by the way. So for whoever did that, like, this is not 15-minute swing structure to me. Because if price has to come all the way back up to this, like, my 15 minutes bullish. Look at all these highs I'm taking out, right? Good chance that this is going to go, unless I, want to take a counter trend trade and wait for a chalk, right? So that being said, right, for whoever marked that out, I don't know what color your thing was, but I would do it this way instead, right? So let's say this, you could even say this high, right? Because same thing, price has to come back up to this. Am I not going to think it's bullish because we're taking this high out? Potentially, right? So instead, do this, right? I'm going to consider this my swing low until this high goes, right? Now that high goes. And then, yeah, I would say this is my low. It's pretty much the same thing here, equal lows, right? You broke this high, right? And we pull back. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, you could include those, but I'm just trying to consolidate it to this, right? I'm trying to be pretty loose about it. So kind of something like this. Yeah, this should really just be one low, right? But do you guys see that? And then yeah, take this low out, right? Oops. Which defines which high? This, right? Not this one, this one. Because again, right, price pulls back like that. I'd even be inclined to say that this is my next swing high, because I don't want to wait for price to come up to this. Or it's not that, but if price does have to come up into these levels, I'm going to wait for a chalk to try and short it, right? If I am going to short it. Because that would be with 4 hour swing structure, right? If this is our 4 hour swing, right? It's just a little trick that I have, right? I always ask myself, whenever price, pushes down like this especially, right? What's the last stand for me that I'm going to consider bearish on the 15 minute? It's going to be this one. Do you guys agree with that, or do you guys think it's this one? You tell me, right? Like, out of everybody who marks it up in here, what would you have marked up before I told you that?
Would
this
consider that the extreme.
So you would mark this extreme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was my extreme, as the rest is mitigated.
Okay, that's fair. Listen, I won't say that this is wrong either. It's just what I personally...
This one led to break of structure, didn't it?
Yeah.
Heavily.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's the nature of how impulsively this leg is personally why I would like to mark it here. Or you could have done this one too, right? That's fine. Because again, if price has to come all the way up, right? Oops. Think about it, right? You're kind of trading against like order flow on that, right?
Yeah.
Or structure, pretty much. Like that's bullish if it breaks this. And it's especially bullish if we break this one, of course. Okay, we can agree on that, right? If this, on the other hand, listen, I'll give you a scenario where I would have marked this one. It would have made more sense, right? It's almost like I'm trailing my structure point. Let me replay here. If price was just down here, even like one candle before that, actually, I meant to do, right? Then this makes no sense to put this here, right? Because I'm kind of looking at it like this. Okay, we only broke that much, right? But then I'd be okay with this. But then it just got so far away that it's like, are you really going to expect that big of a retracement? It's rare that price pulls up and down that quickly, right? So that's my logic behind it, just so you guys know. So let's keep going. Now we're within this trading range, right? I'm still bearish on it, right? Let me clear the drawings here. Still bearish on it. And then price just ranges a ton before NFP here, right? And so what did we end up tapping into? Looks like we tapped into... Okay, you know what's funny? I'll tell you guys right now. This is actually where... I don't know if I have a screenshot of it. I think I sent it... I may have sent it to Blackwatch so I can prove it to you guys. But I actually had a limit sitting on this from before. Not that I would have held it on for NFP, but this is where I wanted to short off of, just with the 15-minute. So I kind of had a limit like this, right? It's a pretty big stop too. It was like 5.8 pips or 6 pips. So I set that, I think, on Thursday night because I was like, okay, Asia's ranging, whatever. I expected that it was going to come here, but whatever. It doesn't matter because NFP happened and I would not have left that on for NFP, okay? Let me close this. So let's do our full breakdown now of how we would approach the day, right? I can even pull back. Here's the thing, again, it's NFP, so it's like not necessarily looking for trades before, right? I mean, we can look at London, if anything, right, to try and play the pullback. I'll try to show you guys what a valid entry would have been, and then we'll wrap it up. And then, actually, I guess for those of you that were wondering how to trade like after the fact, right? Again, it is Friday, so it's like I would have maybe looked to try to take like 5R off of this. But this is definitely a 15-minute POI that was valid, right? That obviously NFP tapped into. Right, we got some volatility off of it here, right? So our 15 minutes there, right? Again, wouldn't have traded directly off of it, but I wouldn't be opposed to, you know, with how rangy price is too, right? Maybe could have traded off of this POI and maybe this POI here, these wicks, right? So why would I pick those? Look, we swept liquidity here and we swept all of this inducement here, right? And this, okay, it's kind of hard to see, but you guys will start to understand what I'm talking about when I say I see this failure, right? Creating liquidity here, right? And then price sweeping that into the extreme, right? Does that make sense? So let's actually look at this on the 5-minute and see if it did do that, or if I'm just misinterpreting price. Okay, so it actually did this. This is going to be even clearer on the 1 minute. So you see how price came in, pushed down into this, right? Tried to push down. It would have been better if this like was lower than this low, right? Then it swept it, right? So let's look on the 1 minute. We'll actually investigate kind of what happened there. Right? I can even optimize this. This is all post NFP, by the way. This is the trade example you guys asked for. So look, price comes in, right? Attempts to push down, creates liquidity, right? Gets swept, right? This also gets swept too, which is really nice. And so this would have been a valid POI for me, right? And look, price comes back into it. So let's see if there even was a trade here. Now, I personally would not have left, you know, a limit order on like this wick, which is what it looks like it actually like tapped into, right? So it looks like it got mitigated, but not fully, right? It ended up not tapping into the 50% of this wick, right? So it used this as liquidity too. The price taps into this. And then probably what I would have waited for was some sort of a retest, right? If I were going to try and short this. Does that make sense? Yeah, the inside bar indicator is IBV2. Or no, sorry, IBSV2. So that's what these gray bars are, right? I'll just quickly show you. Somebody's asking about it. Right, so look, we sweep this liquidity. All this liquidity that was built, it's nice, right? We get our chalk. right, after tapping into our 15-minute zone, right, which would have been this guy here. But it's weird. So price kind of pushes down. You have some like buy to sell wicks that create liquidity. If anything, I would have shorted this. Price doesn't come up to it. So, I mean, it's up to it now, but
Bro,
yeah.
just
What's up?
one person. I consider this. I entered these trades today, and I consider this. Let me just 20
Yeah,
minutes.
annotate it if you don't mind, so I can see.
Yeah. As my flip, this was my chalk. When it broke this,
Yeah.
and I entered here till this low.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This can be a valid chalk, right? In seconds. I saw it in 1 minute, but it's a valid chalk in seconds. Time
Okay.
frame.
So yeah, let me like think about this and see if it.
15 seconds.
You know what? No. This makes sense. Because okay, here's the thing, right? You actually chalked here on the 1 minute too, right?
Yeah.
Technically, it's you're kind of like waiting for more of an interior chalk, because really my true chalk would have been this, right? It's very stretched out, right? But
I got 30
because it's
seconds.
NFP, I think you could have said like even these interior ones like are enough of a demand failure to maybe validate this, right? Because look, this also, we'll look at it on the 15 seconds, because we
Yeah,
can
because-
investigate, like the way that I trade, right? We can investigate on the 15 second to see if this was some sort of like liquidity and failure too, right? On the inside. So I have no problem doing this. This is valid to me, potentially, right? I want to see, did this get created as liquidity, right? This wick here, let's find out. So there's your demand. Okay, price pushes up, creates liquidity. It doesn't sweep anything, right? And because it doesn't sweep anything, we don't trade off of it, right? Instead, we use it as liquidity. So yeah, I'd say this is actually a pretty valid trade, man.
So it's around
good.
here, more or less.
Yeah, and if we look at the chain, right? Let's go.
And then I entered here. That it
Oh,
was
okay,
when
I see. I
broke.
see. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
there's
sense. Because look, you have a chain too, right? That's
Yeah.
happening. Now the extreme gets left unmitigated, but you have this, which chains into this, which chains into this, which chains into this. So yeah, I'd say that is
the-
valid. That is valid by my books, by the way that I trade my trade plan. So good job.
Yeah.
Right.
I made the 11R out of that.
Nice work, and good job TPing here, because
Yeah, my objective was
Makes
the
sense.
low, because the order flow was bullish.
yeah,
That may be just the correction to fill the imbalance.
yeah. No, I totally agree. That looks pretty good. R is asking my monitor size. I use a TV. It's a cheap TV, by the way. Relatively cheap. It's not like I spent like thousands of dollars on it. It's a 4K TV, but here's the thing: you don't need that either. Like, I used to trade on a 1080p monitor. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Just instead of doing like split screen like this, just stick to this, right? And just flip between time frames, right? There's nothing wrong with that. 4K is not necessary, honestly. You really don't need it.
Come on, you need that.
No, you don't need it. No, you don't. It's nice to have, but it's a luxury. But like, look, you can trade on your 22-inch monitor. Just make sure it's like, obviously your face is close enough to it, right?
I use a CRT.
Yeah, Dan uses a CRT. So, do you guys remember what that is?
Not with my laptop.
It's because he plays Counter-Strike on it. So, that's a good refresher.
Yeah.
Joking.
Nothing wrong with that. Like, so let's see how
Oh,
this
mate,
plays out.
it's-
Actually, I want to see.
That's a good point to have a good setup. It helps you a lot, like your mouse, your monitor, and everything.
Yeah.
You just
Oh,
need
I
that.
thought you were talking about a good trade setup.
Yeah. I mean, setup is so important, man.
That's all that matters, really. Like,
Yeah,
take a good
especially your
setup, right?
mouse and your monitor.
That was my entry.
A lot.
so before I wrap it up, guys, I just want to quickly show you guys. Dan, you're in here. Out of this, which model do you think this is? Out of the ones that we have here.
I
So
think it
I'll
was
do
A. Seconds, right?
A. It's A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
On the
let me
seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
looking
we-
at that earlier too.
Chalk. Then
see.
continuation.
So A would be. I just want to show you guys. So this would be A shorts. Open that. So that's what we're looking at. That's what that trade was. Okay.
Yep.
So, makes sense, right? This is what I'm talking about. Demand reacts, sweeps the pullback, mitigates something to the left, right? We obviously had a chain. It chained like 5 times, which is really, really nice. Price pushes down, demand fails, price retests what got swept, or basically the sweep, right? So really good. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Everybody have a good weekend. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask in like general chat or questions channel. But I will upload this within the next couple days, and it'll be available in the course so you guys can watch it.
Nice one. Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Take care, guys.
it.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you,
Good
man.
weekend.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you,
Later.
sir.
Cheers, pal.